everybody. Welcome to the Pod. This is episode 10. Dave and I are not on here again. Going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff today. We're going to be talking about FedEx one rate, how it went up 7%. We're going to be deep diving into the 30-day parcel shipping re-rate. And lastly, how Meta just handed creators a zero-commission affiliate channel for Instagram Reels. All right, let's talk about it, David. So this FedEx one rate thing. Most of our clients use it because it's simple, but now it just went up by 7%. How do you tell brands about this, and what does that mean for them?
Yeah, it's beginning to get harder and harder to tell brands about this every single week, right? We're going, these nickel and diamond things are kind of getting to people. I can't wait to go over our second topic today, but gotta be blunt. You gotta tell them fast. You gotta make sure they're aware of it immediately, as soon as you can. We have that call today where we literally went through an audit of just what the shipping rates need to be, and we'll go through that audit with you guys too, because I think it's that valuable. And just making sure that they are aware of it fast. They gotta know aware of it now. I wish we had a more of a heads up, but this one started yesterday. 420 was announced, implemented, and that's it. One rate. Your one rate is just a bigger rate now.
Okay. I know we talked about, maybe it's important to mention, like zone skipping. I feel like maybe a lot of people hear it but just don't understand it. What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, you kind of have to diversify your carriers. We'll talk about this too, but like, people don't care to diversify carriers as aggressively as they should, because they want to get that cheaper rate. And if you don't use them, you might lose the rate, et cetera, et cetera. But if they're going to increase rates on you, you need to look into it. And so depending on certain zones, you might just be able to say, look, these zones are better for me if packaging meets this requirement, if the zone is in this requirement, I'm going to go with this carrier and save 8-10% because of that. So you might want to do that, have a good last mile partner, just skip some of those zones where they can handle it. You do that handoff if your business allows it, because sometimes last mile could be a pain in the butt for returns, right? And just customer experience, and adds another day in comparison to Amazon and these other conglomerates like TikTok as well, that might want to jump in there and provide a better customer service. So yeah, that's definitely one of them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good to know. Re-rates. We had talked about, and you mentioned and wrote down like 8 steps. Which one finds like the most money?
Oh man, that's a good one. Well, let's figure out like the impact right now. Just kind of whittling down the economics of just what a 7% increase of your one rate. If you're just using FedEx, shame on you, you should be diversified. But let's say you just use FedEx one rate, you do 10,000 orders, it's 7%, it's probably 45 cents per order. Over 10,000 orders, you're looking at 7 to 10K over, those 10,000 orders. So you're going to get impacted. You look at your bottom line too late, that's huge. So though we've been talking about surcharges, increasing of fees, et cetera, I think we do need to go over each one of them, because how much it impacts you. At least try to offset or slow the bleed of these surcharges as much as you can. And like I said, how do you tell your client? You got to just tell them up front, be quick. If you're CEO watching this, if you're ops manager watching this, whoever you are, you got to make sure that you're just in front of it. And let's say you're like not the CEO, you're not the founder, you're just somebody who's trying to be better at your job. Tell your boss these things, right? Hey, look, I did this audit, I ran these numbers. I'm utilizing AI to support this case, because you got to be in charge of your numbers now. You got to be aware of it. So let's go over it. Is that okay if we go over each one of them and then we can window that out? Cool. So I've written down these 8 of them, these 8 steps, right? There's not one in particular, but these 8 steps, they kind of work in conjunction with each other in that order. So the first thing I would do, we just finished Q1, full Q1 numbers, the last 90 days, say, right? You want a good, vast data pool to be able to manipulate and tell that story. You don't want to be too small. Oh, last week was this, right? You want to benchmark last week to the scope of 90 days. Is that better or worse? You can't tell by looking at just a week, right? So pool the last 90 days, make sure that that's good. The second one is map your zone distribution. Where are your customers? Where are we shipping those products? How are we shipping those products to those customers? Making sure you better understand those things is going to give you more power, right? The data is super powerful, but if you can't understand it, if you're not giving it a story, then it means nothing, right? It just is a number on a board at that point. So map everything, make sure everything is good. One note I said, I'm very much into like if-then statements. So if this, then that, if not, then this, right? So it's a little more binary, very much an operational thing. And everything's a lot more complicated than that, I understand. But if 60% of your order volume is in zone 5 through 8, the furthest zones that you could think of, regional carriers candidates, like make sure you start shopping for regional carriers. If 70% ships to zone 2 or 4, your ground advantage candidates, right? Like those are the ones that you want to make sure that you're kind of pushing towards. So anything over 50%, 60%, 70%, look at those numbers. Where's your customer base? Are they matching in the right carriers? So if they're regional, or if they're ground advantage candidates, depending on, if regional, they're further away, or uni-unis. Uni-uni has been a great partner for us. We even do local pickup for a lot of the people in our area because they're so small right now, but they save a lot on carrier rates. And you kind of have to balance that out because, returns are a pain in the butt, but regional might be the way to go. Number 3 is identify dim, diverse, or drift. So sometimes what happens over the year, over a few months, is like your dimensions start doing it. This what's happened to our client is that they're starting to notice that like the dimensions don't start lining up with what they were told to a year ago because those might have drifted, they might have changed. And so you're going to want to reel those back in, understand it. Understand, like, can I fit this in a smaller box? Can I renegotiate with our suppliers for boxes, etc.? How do I save on that? Can I save a few pennies on those ones? So I'm going to get hit with 15 cents here and there on every single order. Those are big ones. So understand that drift a lot. If you could save 15 to 20% on your packages in general, like that's huge. You're offsetting the bleed immensely. So make sure you might have to fix the box, not the rate. So that's what I would think of that as. Number 4 is calculate your true per order shipping cost by service level. So include everything, include the labels even. Make sure you understand that when you look at a box, what did it take? How long did it take my fulfillment team to, tackle their tape up, pick that box? How much tape on average do you use? I have a client that's like looking at how much tape do we actually use at its scale, right? That's kind of intense. Some of the things I'm like, that should just be a phone cost. But if you really want to get granular, then get granular. Every label cost, the time to do that, the time it just sits there, all of those things. How many times do you touch it? Calculate everything per order. Number 5, which is super important, quote the same volume against 3 alternatives. So you've pulled your 90 days, you have everything, you have your costs, you have your shipping labels, your carrier costs, etc. Go find 3 alternatives. Go find your regional rate carriers. Go find those ones. As a 3PL, we do try to find opportunities to grow and to save and to make sure that it still is on par with our delivery rates. You have like your Amazon FBMs, your TikTok, right? Seller shipped. Those ones are so strict, right? So you got to level that out. I can get it there quickly, but it's going to cost me. But how do I ride that line where it gets to the customer, the perfect timing where I'm saving the most amount of money? Find those alternatives to kind of pick around, and those alternatives for each one of those shipping zones, right? So try and do it. This is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take maybe you guys building out, vibe coding something to help you do this research, but pull the data so you can get a better idea of where we're standing. Number 6, you compare everything, obviously. And then number 7 is something that's super important. Go to your current one and say, look, I can save X amount your current carriers for those regions. If I can save this money if I move away. I don't want to, it's a pain in the butt, but you're increasing my surcharges here. I'm already losing another 45 cents per order by staying with you. Or if I can save 8 to 10%, I'm saving 10,000 orders, I'm going to be able to save $4,000 or $5,000 off the get-go, right? And so the last one is to always be checking now, but not just like manually. I don't want you to do these 90 days, but I call it the weekly rate variance reporting. Every Monday, where are my rates tweaking? Are they going up? Are they going down? Am I just did a run a promo, or I'm shipping more? It's a little heavier, right? Understand the variance rate. If it's within that same rate, then great. If it's not, that's bad. So again, I gotta do it and not a plug here. So in the Nada Shipping OS, what we've developed is we have our ledgers, and we run our ledgers on a weekly basis. So we're always kind of comparing our shipping rates, and we have it built into a macro on Excel. We'll probably develop it into the platform itself, where we're just looking at our variance. Are we more than last week by what delta? Are we saving, right? Oh, that's great. What did we implement? How did we implement that? These are simple things that if you have the right software, that you could be saving a lot of money. You don't want that drift. Other big, like we'll have a huge podcast at the end of the week. Probably will go out Monday. We'll have somebody on there. I won't go into too much depth with it, but we're super excited to get them on. Where we'll ask them like, why, like these companies drift on purpose, right? So make sure they're not drifting on purpose. They're not going to notice this, right? 3PLs want to keep my business, so they're not going to increase my carrier costs slowly, right? Because they want to keep on. Well, you need to check. You need to make sure that's the case. You can't just set it and forget it anymore. Sorry, Gabe, this is my soapbox of shipping, but it's been a huge deal lately as we've been going in and we're just seeing 10, 20% increases in costs all over the place. Maybe not 20%, but upwards to 10. And that's huge, right? So we need to save our clients as much money as possible. So since we're in the weeds, it's kind of been like a huge focus for Anada.
No, I think it's important. Like it's an important steps to take for sure. And maybe we can even like pin the stuff in the description or pin it in the comments just so people can just read it as they go.
Yeah.
And yeah, cool. No, but I totally agree. Let's go on to our next topic. USPS. 8% increase, as everybody should know, starts this 26th. Let's discuss, like, is Ground Advantage still the margin carrier like it has been for the entire, I guess it hasn't been that long, but just for most of 2020, has it been the margin carrier for most of 2025 actually?
Yeah, I mean, I remember we've been using Ground Advantage. It's kind of your go-to. It's a product that you can't beat. But then you, like I said, you have your regionals who are stepping up. They want some of that business. They want it. So as Ground Advantage, I don't think it's something that they could sustain. Other people can't sustain it. You kind of like the competition here. So unfortunately, it is not anymore, but it totally was and still is a good option in certain groups, especially when you're done doing the audit. Yes, it is. It's case-by-case basis for sure, but keep them in your back pocket or utilize them, but always be checking no matter what. They might not be for you. So don't set it and forget it. If you're operationals manager, or if you are one, I would get on top of that today. I would love to jump on calls too with these people who are like, how do you do this? What are these steps? How do I pull this information? I work with a lot of small brands that they're just there to manage the team, pick, pack, and ship and get the lowest rate possible, but make sure of that. I would love to jump on those calls with people.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. Let's actually move on to Instagram. Meta zero-commission affiliate thing that's going on just on Reels. Do you think this is actually a channel or is it a feature that like nobody will use?
Yeah, that's hard. I really hope that TikTok has a little bit more competition, but right now there's nothing that beats the TikTok affiliate program. It's just bar none, the best out there. It's on platform. You get access to all of the content. Like, it's just, for somebody who knows, they know it's the best. And it's about time. The CEO of Instagram was on a podcast, I want to say like at the beginning of the year, and talking about the future of Instagram and talking about where it needs to go. And I'm super happy to hear that Reels is pushing this out. Now they're doing this for commission free on platform, complete affiliate management. You could post like 10 products or something on a reel. It's probably not 10. I think it was 8 actually, but still 8 products, you know, they could start making some big moves here that pushes people towards the reels versus just TikTok, because they're probably losing so much market share. So I hope that it is a long-term feature that everybody uses and not just a fad, like they just release it because they need to raise their hand, like, you know, Instagram stores or something like that. Like no one uses that like you can on what is it called? TikTok. Sorry. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's say for like a brand doing 5 million a year, but they have a pretty tight operations team. Where do they start?
For a brand around 5 million a year, I would say start small, start with your hero products. And a lot of people are like, I need every single product created, and it's burnout and you never hit it and you're spreading yourself too thin, not like just mentally, but also like, I use this term today. I don't know if I've ever used it before, but the magnifying glass effect, right? So that you have a magnifying glass and you put it over the sun and you burn that hole. If you just had a piece of glass or something like that, you're never going to burn a hole through whatever it is. You really want to make a move here, be hyper focused. And so I think it's the same way. If I were to start a TikTok, if I were starting Reels, if I were starting something like that too, I would just pick one, just create the SOP, work on it, dial it in until it becomes second nature. Kind of what we're doing with this podcast. We're just going to do it until doing it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us mentally anymore. And we're going to be the best at it as we can. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with the affiliate programs as well. That's exactly how I would handle it. If I was a $5 million brand, just create those SOPs, right? You don't have to hire it out, do it yourself, do it the best that you can, right? So you're $250,000, $300,000 a month. Like I know founders who are still running their social media campaign doing around there as well. So you're not big, don't big time it yet.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe we combine these last two things together because this is actually a really awesome discussion. Let's say we have, and I'm sure there is an operator listening to us right now. We could talk about, David, what is one thing that we could do this week, and for another discussion for a brand that's doing 1 million and is sort of wondering, hey, if any of this applies to them, what would we say?
Man, if you're doing 1 million right now, that's around $90,000 a month. You're doing $90,000 a month and you're taking home 20% of that at the end of the day, right? And then you got to pay employees and whatnot and your operational costs. This is the hardest time for you. So don't take your eye off the ball on saving, right? Like you could be, hey, I'm doing 90,000. This is hard. So I would go through one, create your SOPs across a couple of standpoints here based on what we learned on the podcast. Your carrier costs. You're using an auto platform, super easy to do. Download your ledger, throw it in a pivot table, mark it by week, right? And then calculate. Where are you at week by week? You could pull year to date. You could pull last year to this year on the Inata shipping OS. That's what I would recommend. Create those platforms, curate by carrier. The next thing is create your SOPs for your social programs. Utilize that, tap into it. You're not paying any fees on affiliates, right? You're giving away maybe a 20% commission on affiliates, maybe more than that. They're creating the content for you. Make those relationships and don't let it bother you. Make it something that is just second nature. So, sorry, you just asked for one, but I gave two. Those are the two things I would say: save and grow.
Yeah, 100%. Save is the best thing that anybody could do right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, David. That's all I had. Thank you for discussing with me, and to all our listeners, thank you again so much. We'll have timestamps in the description, so you can anytime come to this video, look at what section you need help with, and we'll have those tips and tricks for you. But is there anything else, David, you want to add? Or
I think that's pretty good, man. I think we're in a good way.
Cool. Awesome. Well, again, yeah, thanks to everyone listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.